Hi, in this session I'm going to make a fruit bavarois. Today I've decided to make a raspberry fruit bavarois, and then I'm going to show you some garnishing techniques to finish it off. So I've got some gelatine that I've got in a little bit of ice water, which is bloomed, so that's ready to go when I need it. As soon as it is bloomed, drain it off. That's ready for adding to my custard. So now what I'm going to do, start off my custard. So I've got my 180 grams of milk, I've got a little bit of vanilla in there, and then what I've got is I've got my 4 egg yolks with 60 grams of egg yolk, and I've got my 50 grams of sugar. So what I'm going to do, as I always do, is I put 2/3 of the sugar into the milk, and then 1/3 into the egg yolk. I put the sugar in the pan, a little stir, straight onto the stove. So, just to make sure that the eggs don't coagulate, I'm now just going to spend a couple of minutes whisking those eggs up so they're really light and fluffy. So my milk's come up to a simmer, my sugar's dissolved, and what I'm going to do, just add a little bit of that hot milk to the egg yolk. Whisk it about. Make sure you get all of that egg yolk from the edges. Just put that down on my resting tray. Now back in with the hot milk. So I'm looking to bring this custard up to 82, 84 degrees. I'm going to have it on a lower heat. Before that was on a higher heat, just to bring it up to the boil. And what I'm looking for a couple of things. If I'm not doing it with a probe, I'm going to start to see this custard, this creme anglaise thicken, and then also that the bubbles start to disappear. But the best way to always double check with things like custards is to just probe it, make sure the temperature's right, it's cooked out, it's thickened enough. It's very important that the setting point is right. This is going to affect your bavarois and how it sets in the mould. And there you go, it's come up to temperature. That is now ready. So I can tell it's thickening up really quickly. You can see the viscosity of it. It's thickened up. Coat the back of the spoon. So now all I want to do, pass this straight through a sieve. Don't push through any bits in the sieve. So that's now ready. So here I've got some ice water. Plenty of ice, bit of water in there. I'm going to sit the creme anglaise on the top in the bowl, and then I'm going to reduce that temperature to 30 degrees. Before I do that, I'm just going to whisk in my bloomed gelatine. So just make sure that you squeeze out all that excess liquid, because again, that water will water down your set. So that goes in. I'm going to stir that all together, and that will just melt in there. And just make sure before you cool your creme anglaise that all of your gelatine is completely dissolved and mixed in. So onto the water bath, the ice bath, and then all I'm going to do, probe it, and I want to bring this down to 30 degrees. What I'm going to then do, add my puree, and then what I can do is add my whipped cream. So the temperature's starting to come down. This is the best way to control it. If you do it by just leaving it on the side, what will happen is, one, it takes time, and when you're under time pressure, this is the best way. And then it will set and cool around the edges quicker than it will the middle. So this is the best way to make sure that the whole of the mixture cools really evenly. And that it's done with speed as well, and you're in complete control. So just check it again. It's now at 30 degrees, so it's worked really quickly. It's just been a minute or two. And now I can add my puree. Whisk that in, and now what I need to do is quick whisk up my cream. I could use a machine if I wanted to, a hand whisk. I find you get really good control by doing it by hand to get the exact thickness that you want. Don't want to over whisk the cream in this, otherwise the texture of the bavarois can be grainy, it can be greasy. You just want to, between ribbon stage and soft peaks. Nearly there. So it's the ribbon stage. Just going to whisk it a little bit more past, so it's just at soft peaks. That's perfect. With, like I say, just before soft peaks, ideally. And then all I'm going to do is fold my cream. My bavarois mixture. If your bavarois mixture starts to set and you're worried, you can always just gently warm it over a bain-marie. And what that can do, just warm up that bavarois, that gelatine a bit, so it doesn't, so it's not setting. But if you get it to about 30 degrees, it's perfect. And then it means that the mixture is quite cool, so that when you get it into your moulds, it will cool quite quickly. So just gently using the balloon whisk just to fold through. Otherwise, if you use just a spatula, some of those bits of cream won't break down. If you over whisk your cream, the cream won't break down, it'll go kind of lumpy in there, and then you'll start overworking it and things in your mixture. Just spend just a second just to make sure that that cream is broken down. The mixture will seem quite runny. What I'm actually going to do is I'm not going to use a piping bag. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pour it into the moulds. So I've got some rings here ready. What I've done is I've folded over some cling film, double cling film, and just wrap those around the edges just to make sure that the mixture doesn't escape. Now what I can do, pour my bavarois mixture into there. into the moulds. These can be scaled, so you can put these onto the scales and weigh the amount that goes into each to make sure they're all the same. We're doing these for a restaurant service, and you want to make sure that they're all consistently the same. The mixture is starting to get a bit thicker because as it's cooling, the gelatine's setting, so this is the perfect way to work them, so that if you were doing them under time pressure, they start to set pretty quickly in the fridge, in the moulds. There we have it. So they're now ready to go in the fridge, or blast chiller if you need them to, and then I'm going to demould them and decorate them. So I'm now going to plate up the raspberry bavarois. I've got the bavarois here in the mould set. I've made a couple of different twirls with the langue de chat paste, the tulip paste. I've made a twirl like this, where I've just used a little piece of the paste and just brushed it flat against the sill pack, and then manipulate it, bent it. Well, I've got some other ones that I can play with as well. So I've done this shape, I've done a strip where I've done it at an angle. Up to you what you want to do really. And then even a more traditional one, a circle that's then been just shaped over the rolling pin. So on top of that, I've also got some freeze-dried raspberries there. I've also got a raspberry coulis, and I've made some Italian meringue. So lots of different things to use to help garnish. So what I'm going to do first, I'm just going to put my palette knife underneath. And then just very, very quickly warm through the edge of the bavarois to release the ring. Don't want to overheat, so it all melts. It's very brief, a little bit at a time. There we go. So there we've got our raspberry done. What I'm going to do now, black and white checkered plate. Put a blob of the meringue there. What I'm going to do is just use the comb, little comb I've made, just simple, out of a container lid, and I'm just going to brush that around just to start, and then just to make it a bit more decorative. I'm going to just another little block, and then all I'm going to do is round that off just slightly on the plate. Okay, so what I want to do, just to really try and give some height to the dish, well, I would have I would have used that, but I've just broken it as I was just doing it there. So you've got to be very careful because they are quite delicate. I'm just going to put the bavarois on there. And what I'm going to do is just lift it slightly. Put that underneath. Like that. In fact, I've changed my mind now because of how it is. Because that's now broken. I'm going to just do a little bit of a different design. So before I get on with putting the twill on, I'm just going to use a little bit more meringue. So some other little blobs. Again, gas gun. Be very careful not to melt my bavarois. And what I'll do is I'll use my, which twill shall I use? I'll use this one. I'm going to just push it into the bavarois like so. Coulis, just because of the pectin, it's set a little bit, so I just want to just move it around in the bowl a little bit first. I just put a little bit just in here, just for colour. Just going to could put this in a piping bag if you wanted. Just put a little bit more, just on the bavarois there. And it's just now going to run down nicely, maybe a little bit more just to get it so it runs down. Like that, so. Then all I'm going to do, just a little bit of the chopped up freeze dried raspberry, just to finish the plate off. And there we have it. That's the raspberry bavarois with Italian meringue, fruit coulis and a twill biscuit.